Power clear, Wi-Fi clear, audio looks good. Are we up? At least I'm here. Okay. Where are we? Oh, there are people up. Okay, good. Sorry about the other day, gang. Special trip last Monday. Wasn't able to get here. Sorry, we're up and running normally now. Today it's going to be a mixed day. There is no long, steady stream of work today. Today is going to be a mixed bag of 3 or 4 things. Yes, back from resawing wood. I don't have any to show you here, unfortunately. It's upstairs. We'll talk about it. We cut some wood up and we pasted it down, and it's upstairs waiting to be used. And what I'll be doing by the time the next stream comes along, we'll be back on the cat print here, throwing this away and starting with a fresh new, beautifully hard block. But today is going to be a sort of a catch-up, mixed, different stream here. We do have a show and tell. We have a fun little show and tell. It arrived yesterday. I opened up this little package, looked at the thing inside, and I thought, oh my God, that's just like, what's the name for this? The Cybertruck. It's the same. I had the same experience here as with seeing Elon Musk's Cybertruck the other day. So we'll have a look at that towards the end of the stream. If you remind me about that when Cameron gets here. This is a letter, not for public consumption today. Okay, 2 main jobs today. 2 main jobs today. One is I received the first batch of prints from Suga-san for the December print for the JJ series. And here we are. This, for the first time now, we've had the full series visible. This is the December print, and we started the series in Asakusa at night time. Paper's out, yeah, paper's out. Thank you. We started the series in Asakusa at night time, and we're finishing it off just around the corner. This scene happens here every night, at least in winter it looks like this, every night, not 10 seconds from my front door. Not 10 seconds from my front door. Anyway, Suga-san has sent these in to me. We are really late with these. They're supposed to be shipped in 3 days, and we've got them ready. But I have to check them. Not just check for quality, but I have to check for chili. There's paper scraps in here. Because we have open white space, there's always going to be some paper scraps visible. So I have to pull these out this morning. And then the second job will be also more cleaning the prints inside this envelope. We'll talk about those when I get there in a few minutes. But right now, I've got to go through these things one at a time. Hunting up paper scraps. We'll use this as a base. It's not going to be carved anymore. We'll just use it as a base. And as usual, Suga-san's done the same thing with me. She's given me her deck of prints. This is, I guess, about 80 prints or so. Look at this. They're all the same. And she's marked them herself. See this? This little tab. We can show her this. And she thinks the pack from here down is not going to be acceptable for sending to people. This is what she gives me every month, something like this. I think last month she stuck it here, something like this. I'm just going to toss that. We'll look at these one by one. The deal about the quality checking is supposed to happen at 3 levels. The printers themselves do the first check. And stuff that is obviously not acceptable. You know, they've got test prints and stuff like that. They don't even show those to me. Or sometimes what the outside printers do, here, they cut the corners off. We've got this. This group here, with the corners cut, there is probably going to be really major things wrong with these. As in, they're probably her first test prints or something. Yeah, we can see this right away. There's this model color. So those are almost certainly going to be out. We all know this. There's a certain batch. But then that second group that she told me, no good, they're almost certainly going to be okay. But here we are. We've got stuff like this. We've got things that we can fix. There's a bit of an ink blob. That's what I'm here for. Okay, let's go. Right, let's start with that one so we can see something to do. We're were we able to do the resong? You were asking me questions about the blocks. I know Aoyama-san we did get out there, and we did get a whole bunch of wood resawed. It came back, and the last couple of days I've had nothing to do with it. I haven't even been up to the 3rd floor. So I don't have any wood to sit here and show you right now. It's upstairs. It's upstairs all stuck together already. I don't know. Whatever. Just let me get going on this. Ask me about the wood a bit later. It's okay. Just let me get going on this. I can't handle 6 conversations at the same time anymore. Let me get started on this job. So what we've got here, this is not a paper defect, this is a printer's mistake. And she just, when we were pulling the paper off the blocks for one of the colors, she just banged it against an area where there was pigment. So in most of these cases, as long as it's only a light touch, then you can get this off. As soon as you've pressed something with your baron, the rubbing tool, once it's pressed into the paper, then we're doomed. It's there and you can't clean that up. But a little light dab on the surface like this. Oh, I'm going to need to sharpen this knife. Let's not go with this. Yeah, I'm going to need to sharpen. This is not sharp. Yeah, it's not shaving. Okay. Plan B. Just a minute. Move on to some sharpening here. What we want to do is to use the knife and just shave off the paper, but it's not sharp enough for that. So, hang on a second. Plan B. The last couple of days here in the shop and upstairs has been frenetic, absolutely frenetic. We've been thinking that the autumn season is sort of slowing down a bit, but it really isn't. And it's just frenetic, a bit chaotic, you know. And there's so many fans around. It's just so much fun. You know, people pouring in the door. They've seen the YouTube channel. They've come to see us. You know. Even today, I got out of here for a while. The girls were so busy with the print parties. I had to make the post office run. And the post office comes and picks up express packages, but they don't pick up the general mail and small packets. And most of our shipping is done from the Ome workshop, you know, the normal shipping for subscribers and stuff. But for instance, people who visit the shop here, they ask us to send them home for them. Of course, lots of people don't want to carry their shopping around to Kyoto and stuff. So every day we ship a bunch of packages, and yesterday we shipped like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or 13. They were busy, so I was the one delegated to go to the post office. And on the way between here and the post office and on the way back, I got stopped twice, you know. I got stopped, not by the police, by fans. That's the kind of pace we're at every day, just people pouring in here to look at what we're doing and enjoy stuff. I think that should do it. I just need a good slice. We've got to slice that paper, so it's really got to be sharp, like a razor sharp. I noticed also yesterday on the YouTube channel a comment, somebody looked at one of the old videos and commented quite seriously, David, you don't need water in those metal stones, you know. And I know. We don't need water on the metal stones, but it's much more pleasant to use it that way. And water on that stone, even though the metal stones don't wear out and they don't need to make mud, there still is residual metal. You know, when you rub on the stone, metal is coming off your tool. And if there's no water, it just sits there as fine powder on top of the stone. So metal or not, I'm absolutely going to keep using water on this. The danger is, of course, it gets rusty if you don't dry it off. But that's an easy thing to do. Okay, let's get back to this. All right, where are we? I'm not the only one here who wears socks and sandals, you know. We had a visitor this week who didn't make it onto the stream. A visitor this week to hear, Jed was here to do the Comic Con. And you know what? He was wearing no socks and sandals, exactly the same as me. He's no out of date hippie. He's my kid's age. When he left here that morning to go to the comic convention, I said, Jed, what are you doing? No socks. What's going on? This is Japan. He says, well, whatever, it's raining. If it's raining, I'd make my socks get dirty. It's just easier to go bare feet. So I'm not the only one here doing that. Yeah, the stones. So. Much more pleasant and smooth. It's the nice way to do it. Whether it needs water or not, I don't know. But it's cool. Okay. Now, let's do this. Let's get here. So we're checking for a few things. We're checking for general appearance here to make sure the registration is okay, which they're going to be. Making sure they had trouble on some of these with the overlaid colors. Some of the overlaid colors, there's so many blocks here. I don't know if it's not really perceptible in the thing here, but for example, this dark area up top, it's not like a yellow block and an orange block and a brown block. That's not how it works on a print like this. This orange tone is underneath all that darker stuff up there. The yellow tone is underneath all that darker stuff. A tone like this, with this kind of depth, is overlaid. It's not just one color clicked with a paint bucket in Photoshop. And Jed's been doing this. He's been overlaying these for us. And we had trouble with this one, trying to get the balance. This orange is made up of red, actually. This red you see here is underneath this thing. And when so many layers come up, and when you start to get to layer 3 or layer 4 or layer 5, there's so much moisture and pigment in the paper already that it really sometimes is difficult to get the top color on smoothly. And the girls have to, partway along, they have to dry their print perhaps, or partway along they have to put it between other sheets of paper to remove the water. So these kind of depths are difficult for the printers to produce. And the girls have done a very, very, very good job here, I think. Really nice job. So anyway, what I'm checking for here, some of these, there's a slight bit of misregistration. Some of them, there's a mottled tone where it shouldn't be. And some of them, in the clear areas, there will be paper visible on bark in the paper. And then they both warn me, there's a couple of places in the crowd in here on the feet, on these shoes, where there may be a bit of misregistration. So that's what I'll be checking for as I go through these things. But honestly speaking, I don't think I'm going to find any problems at all. And holding it up like this, you can't see it from where you are, but I can see it with the light through the background. That shows me any quick pieces of bark that need to be pulled out. I like the rim light here. Jed's got some rim light on these people. I think that's really cool. You don't see that in most traditional Japanese woodblock prints. Well, in the old Edo prints, there was never any lighting at all. It was all just flat. And when they came along to the Shin Hanga print era, there was some semblance of lighting. You would find a moon or something like this, but there was no shadows there. And here we have full, complete lighting and shadow. And we get a bit of stuff here. It's the same thing as the one I just washed off. So she may have had a tiny bit of trouble with this corner. knife sharp enough, you can get that stuff off the surface. So I'm sorry if this isn't going to be too interesting today, but this is a job that just has to be done. We are right up to the shipping deadline now, so. Gotta check these shoes. Sugar-san warned me. She said the red shoes are sometimes misaligned. You can see the red shoes there. The shadow, I guess the shadow block came into the shoe block on some of these. She says, watch out for the red shoes. Also, you've seen me do some of the embossing on these prints. The girls upstairs are doing their own embossing, of course. So this is really rich. It's Hori. It's John-san, the young boy from Hong Kong, who has really turned out to be a fabulous carver for us. And this is Suri printing. And this is Suga Natsuki, the girl upstairs who printed it. And there was, in all the chaos yesterday, now I didn't get up there to be involved with it, but the girls were really, really excited yesterday because we had a visit yesterday from Ayumi-san. Ayumi-san's the girl who, up till a couple of years ago, was doing much of our printing. She trained here from zero, spent, I guess, 5 years with us, and then left to have a baby. And the time has really passed, and she had her baby nearly 2 years ago, and she's now trying to get her young girl. She's trying to get the baby registered into a daycare center, and it's pretty difficult at the moment. She's got her in line. She's in the waiting list to get into a daycare center nearby her. And the reason she was here yesterday, she needs extra documentation to show that she has a job waiting for her. It's a bit of a paradox apparently. The mothers who already have a job have priority to get into a daycare center. But because Ayumi-san quit here a couple of years ago, she has no job and has lost her priority. So she was here yesterday to gather a bunch of paperwork showing that she actually really does have a job, and as soon as she can get the kid into the daycare center, she will be back here. So Ayumi-san spent hours getting the documentation ready for her yesterday. And if it all works out, hopefully, she'll be back here in April. So they were chatting, while the documentation was getting ready, she was up there chatting with the girls, and they're really excited. Okay, here's a bit of chili. See this one? I didn't see it. I'll get this with the light. You see it there? It's inside. I'm trying to get it there. And that big brown thing. Maybe when you put it flat like this with bright light on top, it's not so visible. But as soon as you look at the print with something behind it, if you put white paper behind it, I can see it's just really sticking up now for me. So I've got to try and get that out of there. So it's time for some surgery here. Yeah, you can see it there, Sean. There it is. Oh, look at that. A piece of art. So open the flap, pull out the little bark piece, and glue it back down. There we go. Just on the front. We're talking about these bark scraps that are in the paper, and it's really becoming troublesome. That last little one was really too small. We can't complain about it to the paper makers. But sometimes there's some outrageously large pieces of bark in there. And we can't really complain. The paper makers are working as hard as they can. They're overwhelmed by the business, short-staffed, and the bark the fiber that comes to them from the supplier is much dirtier than it used to be. So we can't really complain. We just have to try and take care of this as much as we can. But it's an extra step that I think maybe I showed you that print a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, the new print from Miyako Dori, the new publisher, the one that was carved by lasers and then printed by Yamamoto-san, our young printer. In that design there was a picture of the Ginza area of Tokyo, and because of their shop signs in the Ginza area, the publisher decided to obfuscate. He changed the lettering on the shop signs because he didn't want any trouble. And we've done the same thing actually. These are real shop signs from the street outside here, but we changed them around rather than use the real company name, because Japan is difficult that way. And if one of those shops saw this, they would be at us. They could be back at us. Hey, pay us a royalty or something like this, whatever. So to get around that, Jed-san just put something else. And there's one of them here, if you can read it. It says Tanuki. There is no Tanuki shop out there, but it's just the word Tanuki. It's kind of an in-joke. And it says Gu, and it's a generic lengthening syllable. So the idea is this is probably saying Biuru. And there's no sign out there that says Biuru. And this is the last two characters. This would be a sign that says Izakaya, which is the short word for pub, Japanese pub. A place where you can get sake. Looking good, I don't see any problems. Maybe Sugi-san hid the bad ones at the bottom. We'll see when we get further down the pile. But I am not seeing a whole lot of problem. Yeah. Like what, John? Everything says Moko Hankan, Moko Hankan, Moko Hankan. We don't need to advertise ourselves there. Yes, this is Hoppidori, of course. It's absolutely Hoppidori. And it says here, Asakusa Nightlife. And we don't need to worry about copyright with this. The street around us is called Hoppidori. It's not the official postal name of the street. And these are the bars. They're the Korean bars. They're nearly all run by Korean people, now in third or fourth generation. And this was set up post-war in mid-50s, I think it was actually. It was set up when the reconstruction of Sensoji started in the mid-50s. These bars, or the people who ran these bars originally, they were located right bang in front of Sensoji Temple in the pre-war period. And then during the 1930s, I guess, I don't know exactly, so don't quote me on the exact dates and times here, but there was a district, what they called Chosen Jutaku. Chosen was the Japanese name for the Korean peninsula, which at that time was all one place, and it was colonized by Japan. So Japan had taken it over, and the area was called Chosen. And as you all know, a lot of people from there came to live in Japan, either on their own initiative or not on their own initiative. And there was a community of bars in front of St. Soji Temple. There were bars and pubs and yatai and places to buy food and whatever. And it was a real gaggle of restaurants. I've seen photographs of it. It was a messy street life, blah, blah, blah. And it was called Chosen Jutaku. And it's in the area. And when you see Sensoji Temple now, there's the place where you buy your omikuji and stuff. And there's a nice little area on the right-hand side where there's trees and some benches and stuff like that. And that's the area that was all those bars and nightlife and whatever. So after the war came, it was all totally destroyed during the war. But when the rebuilding started, somewhere the decision was made to rebuild Sensoji in a modern, clean, with a front yard, courtyard, and all that kind of stuff. So those people who tried to get back in with their pubs and bars and stuff were told, sorry, out of here, we're cleaning this up, get out of the way. And of course, I don't know the ins and outs of all the discussions that went back and forth, but the end result was the authorities and the temple people got what they wanted, a nice, clean front temple courtyard, and the people who had those bars there, the Chosen Jutaku, they were all relocated to the outside of the temple wall. If you're walking up from Kaminarimon to Sensoji, you know that there's a temple on the left-hand side, Denpo-in. It's on the way towards us. And it had a temple wall all the way. Now, you can't see that temple wall now because it shops all the way around. When you walk down towards my shop, you see the little booths and shops on the right-hand side. And then on Hoppidori, on the right-hand side, against the temple garden wall, were all these shacks and bars. And they have grown now into this Hoppidori that we see now. So the people who run these bars, these are the descendants of the people, the Korean people who were pushed out from in front of the temple. The reason it's called Hoppidori, Hoppi is the name of a local beer, a type of beer here. It's a beer they drink. It's funny, I drink it myself very often. They cut it with water. You get a Hoppi and you get a glass of water at the same time. I don't actually know how to drink it. I've seen people, they serve it with the beer bottle and then a separate glass and then a flask. There's a way to drink it, but I don't know. So I'm not a big drinker, as everybody knows. I guess it comes from hops, of course, yeah, presumably. It must be on Wikipedia, somebody with more knowledge of what kind of a beer it is. I at first thought it was a quasi-beer. It wasn't made from hops. It was sort of a fake beer, maybe when there was no hops available or something. But I don't think so. It is actually probably from hops. But I don't know. Somebody can find it on Wikipedia, tell us what the deal is. But it's popular. Anytime I walk along that street, I see any number of people with a bottle of hoppy on the table. They come to Hoppidori to drink beef. I can see what she said about the red shoes. Some of the shoes, it's a tiny fraction. Under the scope, I can see that it's a little bit off. It's okay at that level. My God, if you need a microscope to see the problem, we're okay. We'll see. Maybe there's some more down the bottom of the pile there. We'll see. This is 1/3 of the batch we're going to need. We've got 3 printers working on this. This is the batch of prints from Suga-san. And upstairs drying, they're in the drying boards already, is the second batch, the batch from Ishikawa-san. And then once their 2 groups are finished, which is basically now, then we get blocks and paper, and we will send them over to the 3rd printer who's going to work on this, and that's Chiharu-san. And she's living up in Nagano. She used to work here in the shop until she got up with a baby, then quit for a couple of years, and now she's working for us again, but working from home, out of town. She lives up in Nagano Prefecture. Actually, she's visiting tomorrow. She's coming visiting us tomorrow afternoon. So she will be the 3rd person to do the 3rd batch of this. And then that fills us with the 200. We've got a limit of 200 people on this. Not that it's a limited edition, but because that's all we have the staff to make. And then we are now starting on a 4th batch of these prints. So there will be another wave of people opening up for subscriptions for this, probably later in December. So anyway, about the news, about the wood stuff, and I guess I don't have any big sheets of wood here to show you because it's all upstairs. And what happened was, out in 1 week ago, after the stream on Thursday, exactly 1 week ago to today, after I finished the stream on Thursday, the staff was good, the print parties were good, so I jumped on the train and I went out to Ome, the workshop in Ome, where all of our blocks are stored. And the deal was that we've got to find a resolution to our wood crisis. We've talked about it again many, many times. We cannot find enough wood that's hard enough to do our key blocks. We have bought wood, we've bought trees, we've planed them, we've cut, we've scrambled around. We just cannot do it. And a real sort of existential problem here is that the wood we are buying may be okay, but we haven't got the chance to wait 5 or 6 or 7 years for it to really dry properly. The wood you're looking at right here, it's a tree that we must have bought maybe 1.5 years or 2 years ago. Opened it up, split it, tried to dry it out, but it turns out that it's not just a question of moisture. We're learning about this, This drying thing is not just getting rid of the moisture. The wood really does get denser and toughen up, and it turns color from a sort of orangey brown yellow tone to a pinker redder tone, and it develops a better density. So we're screwed because we're trying to buy these trees and use them within 2 years, and it is just not working. And there's no way we can beat our head against the wall all day, and it's just not going to work. So a couple of weeks back, I got really frustrated by what was happening here. I'm trying to carve this, and it's spongy under my knife. I'm sitting here doing this in public, and it's just turning out to be a disaster. So as I sat down, what are we going to do? And that's it now. With our back against the wall now, the face of using this kind of wood for the next few years is unbearable. So we said, okay, that's it. I'm going to cut and run. I went to Ome, went to our shelves of wood blocks, and I pulled out from those shelves a bunch of key blocks of prints that I made for the Poet series. This is back in 1989, 90, 91, 92, somewhere around there. We're looking at 30 years ago. And when I made those prints, I followed the good normal rule. These were made on solid wood, not the plywood planks we're using now. And for the key blocks, I cut only the face, I left the back alone. And for the color blocks, I used both sides. That was the normal, traditional way to do it. And the reason they didn't use both sides of the key block is because if the key block warps too much, you've really lost control over all the registration of your print. So I was a good boy. I used just the front face of the key block. So we have now in Ome nearly 100 O-band size, beautiful key blocks carved on one side with my poet's prints and blank, unused on the back. There's nearly 100 of them. Of course, we don't want to destroy those. That's capital. These are prints that took me a decade to make. We're not selling a ton of them in the shop here. We don't sell any of them in the shop here, but still. So anyway, what we did was I went out there and I brought back 3 or 4 of them last Thursday. And when we went to the Kiva Woodyard on Tuesday, what we had, we pasted some protective paper on both sides. We ran them through a big giant resaw that split the block in 2 pieces. Then right away, within seconds, we had a plastic bag we wrapped up and tied and tried to preserve the carved face. Because if you just split that block and just leave it, it's a rainy day, it absorbs moisture, that's going to twist and thing, and you're out of luck. You might as well just throw it away. So we quickly preserved that, and as soon as we got back that night, and then Wednesday, yesterday, Aoyama-san took the carved half and pasted them down onto plywood to give it some sense of stability. And those are upstairs at the moment, bonded up there. I'll bring one down and show you, so it'll be on the stream when they're dry. That'll be on Saturday. Then the other half now, we've split off the other half, the back side of this beautiful, beautiful key block, hand-planed by Shimano-san back in 1990 or 1991, whatever it is. And today, Aoyama-san and I are going to measure up A, B, A, B, and we are going to make some more blocks to use for the GJ series coming up this coming year and for our cat series. And if this works out, and I know it's going to work out, because this is what I know it's hard. I've carved it and carved it and carved it already. It's the same piece of tree. If this works out, we're going to mine Ome. We're going to keep going to Ome. It's just like a mine. You keep digging ore out of the mines. We will keep digging key blocks out of there. And there's 100 of them there. So we'll be able to do this for a few years to come, with the idea that while we are doing that, we still now have to keep trying to find wood for the future after this. It has been really, really frustrating. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to destroy those old blocks or even damage them or make them potentially less usable. But we have no choice. Our backs are against the wall. We won't be using that hardwood for color blocks. Color blocks are much easier. You can get away with softer stuff, you know, like this. For example, the color block to make this lady's purple, red purple thing. It doesn't matter if the edge is a little bit fuzzy. It's okay. But for the key lines, it's absolutely critical to get a super hard, super dense piece of wood. And we've been so frustrated by it. Another factor in this too is that the hardness of the wood really affects how long they last. When I did the Great Wave, I found a super dense piece of wood. And that thing is lasting beautifully. It's not wearing, it's wearing hardly at all. But the wave we're using in our print party room right now, I carved that last year on a not so interesting piece of wood, and it's already wearing out. So these prints that we're making now, these Japan Journey prints and next year's series, they're going to be so popular. We want to be printing these for years to come. We need super dense wood. I must be into that group that Super-san said is no good, and I haven't seen much of anything that's going to tell me why she thought they were no good. The shoes are okay. The area up here is deep and rich and clean. No modeling. There's no misregistration. The girl just lives in a fantasy world sometimes. You know? Okay, that one's got a problem. There's a problem in the paper that I can't fix. I don't know if you can see it. I don't think it's going to show in the light. There's a white fiber in the paper that runs across here. No, it's not going to show in the light. Anyway, that's a reject tape. It's clearly visible in there. It's a game she and I play, you know. She says it's no good, and I cannot find a problem that she's seen. I think back in the beginning of the stream I said it's a 3-stage process. The printers themselves do the first check. There's the corners cut. There we are, the ones they know about. Then it comes underneath. I'm looking for the bark. I'm looking for misregistration. other problems that might have come up that maybe she didn't notice. So I passed them on. And then over in Ome, the ladies who do our packaging, they are also super strict. And actually that comes from an experience we had some time ago. And I don't even remember the exact what happened. All I remember is the general experience. I had passed on some prints, and they were thinking they were not responsible for this. It's pack and mail, pack and mail, pack and mail. And one day, and this is years and years ago, we got an email and a photograph from a collector. And he said, Dave, I'm not upset about this. I'm not angry, but I tell you, there's something's gone wrong here. You must have sent a print that you didn't intend. And it turned out that he sent me a photograph, and it was really heavily misregistered, and there was garbage in it. It was a total reject print, but it slipped through our system. And luckily, the guy took the trouble to write to us and say, look, I think there's a problem here. And there had been. I had screwed up, whatever. I'd put something here, yes pile, no pile, yes pile, no pile. I'd put a no one into the yes pile by mistake. And the girls in Ome, because it wasn't their responsibility, they just, packed it and sent it. They didn't even look at them. But after we had that experience, I showed them, look, ladies, look what we sent by mistake. And they're all like, it's not my fault, it's not my fault. I said, no, I'm not blaming you, but from now on, take a look, okay? Because I'm only human and I screw up and everything else and blah, blah, blah. So they now have become the third stage in this chain. And because they're afraid of being, what did you do? You sent this and the customer's complaining. Because they're afraid of that, they are now super, super strict. So this is great. The printer is the first catcher. Then behind that catcher is standing me, and behind me is standing. So we got 3 catchers here to catch these balls as they come by. But they are strict. I think since we've been doing that, I don't remember ever having another email from somebody saying, "Oh, Dave, I think this is a mistake." Almost there, gang. About 10 left. Then we'll get on to the next job. Is there a title for the GJ series? We've got a bunch of things on the table. We've got some things on the table. We're walking around, looking at them, waiting to see which one will jump up and say, "Choose me, choose me." One idea, when Jed was here too, we were chatting about this the other day, and one idea which I popped off to Cameron in an email, I said, how about if we called it an anime pilgrimage? Because the idea of the word pilgrimage kind of sounds cool. And Cameron dropped back, this is after Jed's left, and Cameron dropped back and said, the pilgrimage idea really sounds nice. But he said, if we use the word anime, that may turn off a lot of the fans that we've gathered in the past year who have enjoyed seeing these landscape prints. We've got a whole new kind of fan this last year. People that are not interested in the gaming world, but who have been waiting for us. And I had this comment, oh my God, at last, I've been waiting for you to get away from those damn games, blah, 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 blah. So the idea, if we then front and center use the word anime, then those people are going to be kind of turned off. Oh, here they go again, back to this, blah, blah, blah. Now, even though, we're not going to put little girls with short skirts and big boobs, it's not that kind of anime we're going to be doing, the very fact of the word in the title may be a bit of a turnoff for a lot of people. So taking that consideration, taking that criticism or comment into account, we were thinking, instead of an anime pilgrimage, how about a filmmaker's pilgrimage? These are the places that Miyazaki-san, Miyazaki Sensei looked at and studied and saw when they were making their anime. So those 2 suggestions are in play at the moment. There's a big one here, It's a big one here. We've got to get this out. The question is it closer to the front or closer to the back? It's closer to the front, but if we take it away from the front, there's much more chance of leaving visible damage. When you take it out from the back, it at first looks funny because there's something missing in the paper and it's wet from the glue, so it looks brighter. But once the glue dries, it becomes totally invisible. And I would defy anybody to find any of these after I've taken them out, once it's dry. piece of bark in this one. Look at that. Open the flap. So zoom in. Oops, that's about as far as we can go here. I wonder what happened to Cameron Santa he's due in today, I think. What day is it? It's Thursday, sure? Oh, this is a big one. This is a big one. Doesn't want to come out. They usually just pop out once you've opened it up, but this one doesn't want to come. Here's your bit by bit. It's not one piece, it's coming out in different chunks. Okay, I think we got enough. The pieces are so small, it's just come out like powder, brown powder. It was probably dirt rather than a piece of bark. Okay, here we go. You can still see it there in the back. Not sure how visible it's going to be at the front here. Let's have a look. You can still see our dark spot now. It's a wet paste there. I think it'll be okay, but I'm not sure. So I'll put that aside. I'll put it upside down into the pot so I can check it later. It may still be visible. No idea. We may have lost one. We may get to recover it. We'll see. Can the word animation not be used instead of anime? An animation pilgrimage. Not sure. An anime pilgrimage, an animation pilgrimage, an animator's pilgrimage. Of course, I'd like to use the G word, but we really can't use the G word, you know. A Ghibli journey, that would be so much fun, but there's no way. It wouldn't be fair, even if it's sort of quasi-legal or whatever, I don't know. But to use their own studio name and trade name in our product name, that would not be cool. Almost certainly wouldn't be legal. But in-house, we're calling it GJ, a Ghibli journey. Got that one easy. Good. Some of them come off really easily, straight away. Some of them are more difficult. I'm still seeing no sign of what Susan was warning me about. This last group, she said, no good, no good, no good. Is it because of the bark? Maybe. There's another one, the big one in here. Can you see it? You see it in there, right? So this one's quite close to the back, I think. Let's get it right. Almost done. Move on to the next work. I was going to think this was just like 15 minutes here before I could get through the stream of something else, but oh, look at that, popped right. See that? Look at that. As soon as you open the flap, all that garbage pops out. This is actual bark. This is darker pieces of mulberry bark. Tiny dab of glue. This is the same glue, it's paste really. The same paste we use mixed with our printing pigments. So having this extra bit of paste in the print is not a problem. We're not putting a foreign substance in here. So these repairs are absolutely, totally permanent and non-invasive, non-harmful. The shoes are okay. I really don't know what she was looking at when she said that. I think just her thought is that if she sent it to me without a message like that, like she can't herself claim, they're all good, it's 100% okay. So it's just her personality. It doesn't allow her to say, here, this batch of prints is really nice. She has to bow her head and say, well, it's not really acceptable, but maybe you'll find some that are okay. It's a bit of a frustration sometimes in Japan, dealing with that kind of thing. Like, I'd just rather have, just tell me straight, tell me what you think, it's okay. But of course, that's not how the culture works. So no good complaining about it, just work around it. Okay, here we go. So one we had to toss out. I forget now, why did we toss it out? What was the problem with that? Oh, yes, he's here. Trouble with the trains?
No.
Trouble with Cameron? Oh, okay. I gave you a chance for an excuse. You could have said yes.
Yes. One left on time, and so I had to take one outfit. That's the problem.
We just finished going through Suki-san's prints here, and
How did it look?
yeah, they're of course they're wonderful. But she left her little slip of paper in.
Yeah, halfway through. It's like, too bad.
It was about exactly halfway through. Yeah, so. I think a little bit below halfway. So, and honestly, I cannot find. I don't know. There were some with quite bad bark, and they were in her group.
But that's paper.
That's paper. Yeah, but no, I agree. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Yeah, I mean that's a paper problem.
Yeah.
That's not very.
Okay, moving on to the next job here. Cameron's nose, what do you think? Don't catch anything from Cameron, okay? Don't lean too close to your computer.
Try not to sneeze through the internet.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch over the things here. Okay, what do? We turn off I forget the routine here. It's been such a long time since we've done this here. I switch off the FaceTime camera, right? Mm-hmm. And I take the other camera and move it up to the top. And then we turn it over to you. Hi.
All right.
There you go.
Good morning.
There's been a reasonable conversation. I think I've caught most of it. I don't know. There's quite possible. I know, Hoppy, the beer, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What's the deal on it? Is it super weak beer or super strong? I originally had the idea it was just a weak sort of quasi beer. But I see people cutting it with water. When the girl serves it, she brings a tray with a bottle and a glass. And
I'm not the one to
ask. Cameron, but you know, even though whatever. I'm not the guy to ask either. So. Actually,
the internet now.
They may have looked it up and they've probably answered it, and I just didn't see it go by. I'm sorry. So it's quite possible. Yeah. Actually, what I should do, this is a chance, you know. This is the first time we can see all 12 prints together.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, totally. We've never had, in existence anywhere, we have never had all 12 prints side by side. Can we do that? How can we do this?
Do you have them all right there?
I have them all, my own copy. I have what we call here this little DC file.
The David's Choice.
This is the advantage. When I check them, it's no big deal. Like, I pick out the very best one and take it for myself. They're all freaking the same anyway, so whatever. But I keep one. Actually, what I do sometimes, there might be one that we've pulled the bark out, and there's a little bit of a light spot or something left, and I think, okay, whatever, I'll keep that because I don't care at all. So some of these David's Choice ones, they do is there's a tiny defect that no one on this planet would ever notice, but they'd rather than send it through and keep it myself. How can we do this? I'll just take the top one.
Zoom out a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time anywhere. Thanks, John Becker.
I can't see the screen, so I don't know what you're doing here. Jay, can you come up with a camera? Yeah. Do whatever you like here. What should I do? Just put them onto the table here?
Yeah, I'll zoom out a bit, see if we can put them up together.
These might not be in order, so where am I
That's
going to
one.
put these? I can't see where we are. The camera's at.
Yeah, that's like to the left, facing the right way. I think that looks good. 2. I'll make the video of us a little smaller to make more room. For
Yeah. We don't need it right now. So. I don't know which they're doing here. I can't. Let me have a look at them. Okay. But they're out of the light now. It's okay. Let's do it this way. Let's do it. Let's just do a slideshow.
Okay.
Let's do a slideshow.
Number 1, New Year in Asakusa. So I get closer then?
Yeah. Do it this way. So. And then what we should do today then? Oh no, because you can't post that last one online yet because people haven't got it yet. Okay.
But I do have scans of all 12 and they're hiding on the website.
Okay, so once the customers have got number 12, we can do this.
Yeah.
We'll insta it, we'll do this, we'll do that. Okay. So this is today, just a special little preview. All right.
Yep.
There we go. Number 1, January. This is February. And this
On
is
the slopes?
Yes, this is a half real, half imagined. What we've done with this, just so you know, this is a real place, an absolute thing that exists. Jed's given it a bit of a retro feel. The clothes that the people are wearing are not the kind of clothes people wear these days. So it's kind of to me, it's kind of an early show, a retro, which fits Asakusa just really nicely.
Older guys do wear those same hats still, even today.
Yeah, whatever. But a group like that, this group thing, I mean,
it looks
Jed made it up or he found an
yeah.
old show photograph or something, I have no idea. But this has a very retro mood to it.
Yeah.
But it's a real place. This, of course, this is Mount Fuji, which is real, but whether or not this ski slope, I think this is a patched, put together.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask.
There are some ski slopes around Mount Fuji. But
This next one is, the inspiration came from a real place. Jed was walking in Winnow Park, and he had gone out to look for just stuff, interesting scenes and whatever. And he had seen a lady and her daughter in Winnow Park in an environment sort of like this, but it's not the real lady and daughter, it's not the real gesture, it's not the real tree, it's not the real buildings, but just a scene he saw initiated him to sit down and draw this thing.
So he didn't take a picture and then draw it.
No, this doesn't exist. And I've seen his
Absorbed the
photograph.
scenery
Yeah.
and did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Evening light. So dusk here.
Yeah. It should have been maybe been evening glow, whatever. And also, whatever. If it had
Well, we've got
darker,
an evening glow later on.
Yeah. We do. All right, so that's number 3. Then for April, of course, we went seasonal. And,
I love this one.
And this is a real place, but again, it's been adapted and arranged. Although you would recognize this. The people who live in this neighborhood where this is would know, that's our little local shrine. So. And I don't have the information on where it is. We should maybe document some of that.
Yeah.
Later, when people are doing a pilgrimage, they can go and look at that bench in Winnow Park where
Jed's Japan journey.
JJJ. Go backwards. So, what's next? It was the 4th month still. Hi. Yeah. And again, this is, I believe this is completely imaginary, although the lantern itself is probably something from a stock photo or a photo or whatever.
I think it was one of the gardens he visited in Kyoto made him think of it.
Okay, so that lantern, I think, was the real thing, but the everything else is completely put together. Yeah. And when Jed and I were looking, we did this. We laid these out on the wall there when Jed was here the other night. We didn't have the 12th one ready, and he and I were looking at it and saying, "Man, wow, wow,
nice work, guys."
So nice work, guys. But when we were doing so, 5 and 7 seemed to us to be the weakest ones. Anyway, okay, what's next? The next was June. This one we are proud of.
Yeah.
We are proud of. This is a real print. And this has depth. Whatever, it's got depth. Whatever, just keep quiet. This is June. Very, very
What was the name of this one? Quiet Ripples.
Yeah. So. What was next? July. I've got to get it on this floor. July now, this was actually the first one designed.
Yeah.
When Jed and I were planning this and talking about this and thinking, like, could we dare do this?
Yeah.
Could we make these? Would people actually want them? Mm-hmm. This was the first sketch Jed sent me, which I thought, hey, maybe there's something let's give this a try. And looking at it now, and both he and I had the same opinion that this now seems to be the one that we would like to do again. If we had a do-over.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because that was the first one. We were just trying to put these ideas together. He was putting a sketch together. I was sort of doing how can we do the color layering? And it's okay, but I think this is the weak link in the series. And it makes sense because it was the very first one we did. So I shouldn't maybe say
Wild Omelette saying, "Oh, really? I like it." Well, it isn't.
So
they're all lovely prints.
I'm not ashamed of having publishing it, but it's like a baseball team. There's 9 guys on the lineup. Why don't they hit 9 home runs?
Yeah.
They're professionals, right?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then what was next? That's 7th month, right? This
Yes,
was
right.
the 8th month, August, and this one I am really, really, really happy with.
Yeah.
Really, I shouldn't say these sort of things, or whatever. So. And again, this one, this was a struggle. And again, I say this without trying to take Jed down at all or whatever, but the original sketches, they didn't look like this. And we really worked back and forth quite a lot on this one. And
I remember you saying lots of references to, was it Yoshida's clouds or was it Hasui's clouds?
No, I
Whose
know,
clouds?
he may have looked at clouds. I know the point came up when Jed originally did this. I think I can say this. It's not criticism of Jed, just conversation. When he originally did this, there were clouds, there were trees, there were tea fields, there were people. And I think he sort of had it in 4 stripes, a sky, this, this. And to me, it was a pleasant little picture, but I think the key point I said to Jed at that time was, Jed, some of these prints, they're clearly about something. That Asakusa one, okay, it's the overall mood is what you're trying to catch, that's fine. But some of the prints that are more general and generic, what is this about? And I said, try and do this. Make that print about one thing. If we're not sure what it's about, one element from it and make this print is about that thing.
Yeah.
We grab the clouds, this print is about the clouds. Everything else goes clearly subservient to it. The people, we don't care, take them out, doesn't matter, take the trees out, doesn't matter. It's about the clouds. And he did. He brought it back to me with clouds.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a key thing to remember, some of these things. What's this about?
Yeah.
And also another one, where's the light coming from? The old ukiyo days, there was no light. It was totally flat, but we need light. And the ones where I think we might have failed more, like this one too, where's the light coming from? There is no light here. And that's why David is not specifically too happy with this one. It's the ones that show clear light. I don't mean you need a bright shadow or something.
Yeah.
You've got to know where the light's coming from. And we see it in the clouds, we see it on the trees, we see the direction of light here.
Yeah.
What was next? It was.
Someone said, I wish I could get the prints here in the EU. We can, or you can. We ship anywhere.
Of course,
yeah,
we ship globally,
anywhere
as
in the
long as
world.
the post offices hang on to the idea that they're still going to deliver physical products
Right.
around the world.
Yeah.
We're okay. This is a September sprint, and this one surprised me a little bit. I knew it was nice. In my own mind, it was nice. After we had fixed all the problems with the green stuff, I knew it was nice. I didn't expect it to get the wonderful comments that it really did out on the web and out on Instagram.
Yeah.
A bunch of people are like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it was nice, but I wasn't thinking, wow.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it. I like it. And a few things that surprised me about this one too. Among the comments were people commenting about this white cutout here.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I should
Fishing line. Yeah.
talk about this too much. Can I talk about this camera, or should I,
think
just
so.
pass? Okay. Do I have any other example of this here? We do. Look at this one.
Yeah. Aha. Raindrops.
Yes. For us, we're usually quoting, we say to people, look, when you see white on these prints, this is not white pigment. Or even back there, here we go. Let's go back to number 1. That white snowflakes. This is not white pigment speckled on top of a dark sky here. What you're seeing is the white paper.
Yeah.
This is the way traditional ukiyo-e prints were made. Not all Japanese prints, but traditional ukiyo-e prints were made. You cut it out and the white paper shows through. And it's difficult. There's a black block here, an orange block on top of a gray. They've got to be cut out of 3 blocks and still line up and get no paste in them. And why do we do this? Because it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
That's white on our prints. The white you're seeing here is not a glow, shiny white. That's the paper white. And that's so bright, I have to squeeze my eyes here, squint, because it's too bright for my eyes. And yet, it's the same white that you see on the outside of the paper here. That's how we do it. Except every now and then, that's not how we do it. To make the white in these clouds, that's the cutout. To make this fishing line, plan A, do the cutout.
Yeah.
And you've got to cut it out from gray block number 1, gray block number 2, gray block number 3, gray blue block number 4, and have them all so lined up perfectly.
There's no disjointed parts
There's no
of the
disjoint.
thread. Yeah.
So we think at that point, okay, we can do that because we're pros, but how many am I going to have to throw away? Yeah. And Suga-san is just going to say, Dave,
You do it.
I quit. I quit. So plan B is, for these special cases, we do print in white. And this fishing line is carved as a single block, and it is printed with an opaque white pigment on top of the rest of it. Cheating, you do what you got to do to get the thing out the door.
Is that the right link? Subscriptions?
So what's this?
Where to find these prints? think it's HTTPS smokeongun.com/subscription.
I guess so. Are you selling prints, Cameron?
Someone's asking me to sell
All right,
pins.
all right. That was 9 September.
But this one's still on hold for a
we're
little
sold
bit
out,
longer.
So whatever. I mean, we're showing these prints,
Yeah.
but tough luck. You
So
can't
you can
have them.
sign up for the waiting list. I'll let you know when we can send it.
You can't have them. This is October. You can't have them. We don't have any. We don't have any. This is October, and this is great. I hope Jed's listening today. I wonder if he is. He's out there sketching. He's on a sketching trip now. He left here a few days ago.
Yeah.
This is his guerrilla entry to our cats project. Of course, He liked the idea, but didn't want to think that he's going to join a contest. And of course, I understand that. I get that 100% totally. But this is Jed's entry to Evening Glow. It's a cat and an Evening Glow. And I am really, really happy. When they write the history books X years from now, this is one of the ones they're going to use as illustrations. This is going to be the front cover. Well, maybe not. Maybe it'll be this one. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. The point being, I am really happy. Jed has killed it here, I think.
Yeah.
And there are printers upstairs. Who's this? This is Natsuki-san. She has killed it.
Yeah.
David helped a little bit, talking about the glow and the illustration and the shadow and stuff. My hand is a little tiny bit in here, but it's Jed. Chon-san with the carving. I mean, look at this. The nose,
faces.
the mouth, and the printers did it. Rich black here on the sign, but just a touch on the nose. We have killed it. This is a home run out of the park. This is an out of the park home run. This is in the cove. What do they call it there?
I made it out into the parking lot. No, I don't know.
No, whatever, past the parking lot.
Yeah.
I am really, really happy with this. I'm not supposed to talk about that. That was.
They've got a question. What does the sign say?
Yes. Okay, we have this. We talked about this earlier in Hoppidori. We took away the sign, the real names of the signs.
Right.
And on Hoppidori, we changed it to Tanuki or something.
Yeah.
Just something that just has a word. Tsuchimochi-san, when he did his picture, the Ginza in the Rain, to show.
Right. He obfuscated the name.
Yes, he obfuscated. It was Yamano Gaki, the Yamano music store.
Right.
He took a left, he scrunched up the kanji so it's not readable. We needed to come up with a name. This was an imaginary place. Now, Jed has created this out of. This is not a photograph he found on Google somewhere. Jed drew this. This is back to the brush.
Yeah.
It's an old minshuku in an area, a rural area, and this is Juku. It's the same character you see in the word Shinjuku. Mm-hmm. Shinjuku, that huge, wonderful, bustling town in Tokyo, actually means new. Juku as in place to stay.
Yeah.
When the old roads, you went from point A to point B, you stopped here. There was hotels, not places to stay. Yeah. They were the Juku along the post roads. Yeah. And Shinjuku at one point must have been, hey, they put up a new one, and hey, let's call it the new
place to crash.
Knowing what would happen over the ensuing few hundred years.
Yeah.
So this is roll the drum roll camera. This is Baren Juku.
Yeah.
Whatever. Tough. I don't get that. Just whatever. That's what it is. I don't know, like it or not like it. This is Baranjuku.
Yep.
And this is to die for. Hontani, this is to die for. I don't know. Whatever. Here we are. Next one is number 9. And this was the second one designed.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This is the second. When we were just throwing ideas out on the table. And Jed and I actually went back and forth. We didn't have a falling out about this one, but I still had trouble with this. This was supposed to be, I think, originally the February print.
Right. So, can't have 2 winter scenes, right?
What scene is this? We didn't want just green, we wanted color, but that means this isn't February, although there are technically some kinds of little flowering plants that have their red leaves all year long. So whatever, screw it. It's something that works for November and early snow at the onsen or something. Yeah. So it's autumn season at the onsen. There's been an early snow last night. Just whatever, just believe it. It happens. Chicago, right? They're having an early snow this week, right?
Yeah.
Right? Tell me, guys, this happens. So here we are. This is Chicago.
Yeah.
And again, this is nice. This is nice. The layers going back in here. Sugusan, who's this? This is Sugusan's again. Oh. We have got Ishikawa-san's here too. Look at this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this sometimes happens. So I shouldn't talk about this, because if I talk about this, you're gonna get angry at me. We've got 2 printers working here. Sugi-san does a test print, and then Ishikawa-san does a test print. We look at it all together, make a decision. What's it going to be, and we go for it. Yep. But these guys too, they didn't follow my instructions. They had done their 2 test prints, and Sugi-san liked her version better, and Ishikawa-san liked her version better.
And it looks like you liked both versions better.
Well, no, we had a discussion, and I put my finger on it and said, okay, this is the way it's going to be, guys, because we can't have 2 prints being published. And they ignored me.
Oh, no.
And Sugi-san did what she wanted to do, and Ishikawa-san did what she wanted to do. So we have, and whatever, this is no earth-shattering news. We have actually 2 slightly different versions of the print, and 80 people got this, and 80 people got this. And then I chose the one that I like, sent it to Chiharu-san, and didn't give her the option. And she came back with, in fact, she's printing it right now. It's probably due back any day now.
Interesting.
So we've got one where the building is done in a little bit of a darker tone, making it look like a more real building and more important in the scene. And the other person, Ishikawa-san, she followed my instructions and she put it all into a mistier feeling. And I wanted mist here. There's no actual mist above the onsen. But what the mood I wanted was, you're out there in the mist. And this is not a clear, sharp photograph. And she toned down the lady's skin tone. She toned down everything. And Sugi-san thought, look, this is just too weak. And I think when Jed was here the other day seeing them, he thought this one was closer to what he wanted as the concept of a print. Hakkiri tsutte arimasu ne. It's clear and sharp. So me and Ishikawa-san are in the minority. Jed and Sugi-san are in the majority here. But so it is. The things have been mailed. And which one you got? If any of you are subscribers here, you got the luck of the draw. And don't come back to me and say, I want the other one. Because I am not
I'm not going to reset it.
You got your print. Sorry about that. You know, if I hadn't told you about this, you wouldn't know. We're not going to put up a menu every month. Here, choose the one you like. So that's the way it goes. And we normally don't do this. Normally the 2 girls match, and our rule is variation is failure. But for this one, that's the way it went.
Yeah.
And subsequent printings are going to be done with my choice. Yeah. So, okay, that was that. That was November. Oh, sucker. Then the last one was the one we've just seen. Here we are. December, bringing us back to Asakusa at night again with Hoppidori. And another way to look at this, of course, is...
it's a round trip?
No, we have gone from the sacred to the profane.
Oh.
Just around the corner.
Yep, just around the corner.
That's the way you guys play, right? The sermons all start up in one place. The sermon may start here, and at the end of the sermon, and we are back at the temple.
Yep.
Straight down, whatever. So there she is. There's our series. I am really, really happy with this.
Yeah.
I am really happy we did this.
People have a question about Novembers. What is the lantern? I think there's a similar lantern also in May's. There's a lantern on the side. They're asking, do people put in oil or candles? I've actually never seen them lit.
It must be candles to show.
Yeah.
They're not. They are now more a decorative object.
Rather than actual lighting.
They are lit. You know, if you go to Sensoji Temple, there's the little mini quasi garden at the left here with some sub temples and little obeisance places, and a bunch of those have lanterns. Okay. And we've missed it about last month. There was they call it something lantern light festival, and they do. They put down all.
Okay, they do occasionally light them.
Yeah. Okay. I guess in the old days they must have been actual. This was a lantern in the garden or down the pathway, and they must have put.
This was the source of light in the garden at night.
Originally, they must have been there.
Yeah.
Now we look at these things as pretty much decorative objects, but when they were created, they must have been actual lanterns for real.
Yeah. Okay.
And when they do this festival here, unfortunately, you can see in evening, with nice glow. You get closer, and there's the black cables.
Yeah, they're all LEDs.
They're all lights.
Yeah.
Maintenance and whatever, and fire hazard, I guess.
Yeah.
So there we have it. That's our series. Here we go. 12, 11, 10.
Oh, 11 again.
11 again. 10, 9. I am happy with this.
June, May.
So again, just to know about the sales and purchasing stuff, we are sold out. We have a waiting list for this. We do intend to publish more. This is not a limited edition. We intend to keep this available for years and years and years to come. So if you do, we can't sell it here right now. Just get on the waiting list. Cameron is running a waiting list for this, and they are going to be available.
Pretty soon.
For as long as the blocks wear out. So it's going to be a few months before we can get our printers ready for the next batch of this, because we are going to be really busy with the new series. Yeah. But these are going to be around. So.
Someone else a while ago asked about next year's series, but maybe you've already answered it. Does it have a name?
Well, we chatted a little bit about this. I put out the idea that we were talking about the other day. What did I say? I suggested an anime pilgrimage, and this guy Cameron came back to me and said, "That's cool, but there's a downside, and that people who do not like our video game work, I think, here they go again. They've gone back to anime
Pop culture and
with short skirts and big boobs and crap like that. And,
Yeah.
and then so somebody else, I think it was John, he said, how about an anime? What did
Animation.
I said a filmmaker's pilgrimage. Filmmaker's pilgrimage, or somebody said an animation pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Or an animator's pilgrimage, whatever.
Yeah.
I get it, but I think still that same criticism applies, that we should stay more generic, I think. Or it is about an anime stuff, so own it. Just own it. And if there's people who don't like it because it doesn't match their preconception, sorry guys. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. We are still tossing it around. We
Yep.
have to make a decision
Mulling it.
real kind of soon right now.
Yeah.
So away it goes. What time's the camera time? I've got
9:17.
Oh.
Do more show and tell, or start carving, or something else?
No, there's no carving. My work to do for the day. The doi people came yesterday.
Right.
So
Cleaning them
I
up.
do not have time to do this right now on stream, but my next job this morning will be to take the new batch of prints from the Doi Hanga people and go through them. And a bunch of them are nice and clean. It's not so bad because Itakura-san's been fired. You know, he's gone. He's told him he won't do any more work for them. So there's actually good news and bad news to show. If I can find a couple of prints as a sample here. Okay. These are what's been happening to us with the Doi Hanga people. They've hired a printer called Itakura-san, and it is now over and done. Because we were so noisy, he has told them I'm not going to do any more of that because Bolsan's too noisy. And he prints them being really super careless about crap in the margins. He just slams it onto the blocks, takes it off in a bad way. And this is his idea of acceptable. And he says, who gives a crap? They're going to frame it and cover this anyway. And
That's so close to the actual image. A lot of the times he's in the white borders, but that one's coming right
anyway,
off
he doesn't give,
image
give a
itself.
hoot, and we do give a hoot, so that's it. That relationship is now done, and he is cool. But what has happened is Okada-san, young Okada-san, who did one print for us a few years ago. We want him to work for us, but we have no claim to his time.
Yeah.
He's trained at a different workshop, and he is working for a different workshop, and that's the way it goes. And he is busy now. He's doing a lot of the like the Star Wars stuff you saw, or those other projects that are set up by the Kumiya. You know, the Draimon in the Great Wave and all that kind of crap that they're doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, he is now working part-time for the Doi Hanga people also, and his first job for them has come back, and it is right here.
Look at those clean edges.
He has done, and he has, of course, because he's a modern young kid, and he listens to what you tell him, the edges are beautifully sharp and clean, and he is killing it.
Wow.
He is killing it because he's young and he cares. Itakura-san is just, whatever, who gives a B. This guy cares. And here he is. And this is for the first time ever. Here we go, internet broadcast. For the first time ever, we now have his name here. Here it is, Okada. You are going to be seeing this name again. Not from Okahankan, of course, unfortunately, because we can't claim him. He's busy with another workshop. But there it is. His name is now going to be out and around. Okada.
Very cool.
And this is Harada, of course. I can't see this. It's
Harada.
So the blocks were carved years and years ago. So it's a post-war reconstruction of part of the block set, or the full block set. Nobody knows how many of the blocks in this set were carved pre-war and how many were fixed by Harada after the war. Nobody knows without microscopic examination of the blocks themselves. We now just use Harada's name on here as being the carver, because he's the last carver who had a hand in this. Whether he actually did have a stroke or not, I don't know. Some of them maybe pre-war blocks. But anyway, there it is. Carver Harada, printer Okada. These are now back in stock. They'll be back in the catalog. Actually, I didn't turn it on yesterday.
Okay.
If I forget, Cameron, please turn it on.
So we can do that.
In fact, we have to go through this whole deck, turning them back on, the ones that have been out of stock. Akira-san got the list yesterday. She's now going to be putting them into... she'll be printing labels for these today.
That's right. Okay.
So there we go. Now, the show and tell. This is going to be my work this morning, but I am not going to sit here and do it now on the stream. Let me put these away for a minute, because I have a cool show and tell. Kevin, did you see the book that came in yesterday?
Another book?
It's a.
Oh, yes, I did. I did.
I tell you, I opened it and had a look, and within 10 seconds of opening it, I was thinking, holy crap, this is Elon Musk and the Cybertruck.
Why?
You don't get that? Did you see it? You didn't see it? Okay. This is going to be fun. Where's the book?
Oh, yes, I did. On the first page.
Yeah, the first page. I mean, the first thing that came to mind. This is the Cybertruck. You don't think so?
That's fun. Nope, now I can see it. I just hadn't thought of it on the end.
So
Oh, yeah.
everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? You saw the video of the demonstration. He opened this thing. Have they really got 100,000 orders for that thing?
No idea.
I was really curious about that. I mean, I get that we need electric pickup trucks. I get that they can use their know-how. But the kind of people who like Tesla and who like electrics, are they the same kind of people who are going to buy that?
I
don't really know. I mean, it seems to me we've got Blue America and Red America here,
Yeah.
you know, and the people in San Francisco who want the electric car thing.
Yeah.
That's not the person in Nebraska who runs pickup trucks.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is going to work, you know.
Yeah.
But it said there's orders for what, 100,000 of those things, whatever.
People are saying, deposits for 100,000 of them.
Yeah.
But the deposit is apparently only $100. So you can just kind of say, all right, maybe I want this.
Yeah.
Throw
But
down 100.
then again, too, I know even the guy in Nebraska who may not be typically on that side of the American thought spectrum.
Yeah.
If it turns out that these things are much cheaper to run,
Yeah.
because the electrical cost is much cheaper than the gas cost, then the guy's going to vote with his wallet.
Yep.
But that thing, you know. Anyway, whatever. Okay.
It
We're
looks
not
like
here
the
to talk
design
about
of
trucks. We're here to talk about
vehicle
books,
in
and it is a
PlayStation 2 game.
Shiribenbon. This is a Hasegawa book, which I've heard about for many years, but I've never had a copy myself. It's a bit of a different shaped book from his normal stuff, and it was clearly aimed at the Westerners in Japan at the time. And this would originally have been late Meiji, early Taisho. I don't know. I'm sorry. This one has a colophon, but the date on it is real strange. It's got the Meiji date first, 25, and then it's got a Taisho date of Taisho 3, and then another date that I can't remember, I can't even read. Oh, the printing date, Insatsu.
Okay.
So it's Taisho 3, and then Insatsu, the month, fourth month. Is that four? Fourth month, 13 days. So I don't know, but this looks new. This has got to have been printed in the Showa period. And some of it, they've outsmarted themselves. They've printed black and then put black background and Shirimenbon it, and I cannot read a note of this. So this is the end of the day. Probably Hasegawa-san himself is dead by now. Anyway, point being, here it is. It's a book about children's life in Japan, and it's cool. It's pictures about what children did during the year, Japanese holiday, older babies. Well, but the reason I mentioned Cybertruck thing is this. This is one of the Hasegawa books at the front here. Can we zoom in?
Yep. Oh.
They're explaining how these things work for the benefit of people who don't understand them. And is this readable here? I got the light right?
Yep.
We got this?
This little work?
This little work, printed on Hasegawa's unterrible crepe, will, it is hoped, be welcomed for the fact that it can be placed in the hands of very young as well as older children. My God, this is Victorian era English. Anyway, without fear of torn leaves and dislocated covers. These books can be subjected to an amount of rough usage which no other books can stand. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So they're promoting their stuff. And it says here, literally, printed on Hasegawa's unterrible crepe. Now, why was I talking about Cybertrucks? You saw the video. Musk stands up there and says, there it is, take a sledgehammer to it. And the guy beats up the body panels, looks good. The guy starts beating up the windows. Here's my unbreakable windows, and we all know what happened. So what's happened with this book is somebody, some previous owner has read this. This little work printed on Hasegawa's unterrible crepe. Really? Unterrible? And the guy took the paper and tore it in half. This is so cool. The front cover has been torn.
Yep.
Torn right at that same place. And you can see it's left hand, right hand. Where am I? Left hand, right hand. Boops. And bingo, he tore it apart.
What a terrible thing to do.
What a...
Sorry.
Kevin, you're fired.
Okay, I'm out of here.
Anyway, when I saw this, I mean, I don't like the fact that it's torn, but I just could not stop laughing. I just saw that demo of that truck.
Yeah.
The poor guy. And actually, you saw the post demo, right? The reason that thing broke, did you see? Do you know what happened?
They had broken it down already by practicing on it.
They practiced for like a half an hour, smashing at it. And of course, micro cracks and something must be in there. And that was the final straw. Boom! You could hit it with your finger and it would have broken. I had so much fun with that. So again, as I said, I'm not happy that it's torn, but the story is much more fun than having a nice clean book. Yeah. So it's whatever. So here we are. There, one more nice thing to our collection. And
Japanese houses.
Japanese house, this is just awful, the English, but Japanese house has no bricks, no walls, no chimneys, and no windows. This sounds very funny, and so it is. Yet a Japanese house is both pretty and comfortable. Until winter arrives.
Yeah.
But whatever.
And summer.
Anyway, you go. But this was printed in an era. They were just giving the Westerners what the Westerners wanted to hear: how quaint and exotic and everything upside down. It's like the Hasegawas. They published this book called Japanese Topsy Turvy.
Huh.
You know, topsy turvy, upside down.
Yeah.
And the whole book is about, in Westerners, we push our saws. Here in Japan, we pull our saws. In Japan, we read left to right, blah, blah, blah. And it was pandering to the exotic. Look at the strange, bizarre
and
world
sold a lot.
they found us. And they sold $1 billion. Nowadays, we understand that whatever cultures are cultures, things are different all around the world. But they were pandering to what they knew their market. But the book is beautiful, beautiful, except where it isn't beautiful, like this. It doesn't matter. It's cool. I'm very much on. I got it. It cost it opened price at 10,000 yen.
Oh, wow.
Somebody bid at it, and it was lucky. It was a late night closing on this, so there was nobody else hanging around. Yeah. So I bid something higher, and I got it for 10,000, whatever, 200, whatever. Yeah. The auto bid put me up over that.
Nice.
So good. It'll go into the collection. It'll be enjoyable, and we'll be able to tell the story for many years to come. Well, except actually we can't, because the story only makes sense right now this week after seeing the Cybertruck demonstration. But it doesn't matter. Whatever. It doesn't matter. That's not what we buy this. There we have it. One more item in our collection. Okay, Cameron-san, now the stream's coming up. What's the next stream and stuff going to be about? I'm not quite sure, because my next stream should be about carving. I should be back carving on that cat block, but that will depend on Aoyama-san today upstairs getting the actual wood bonded on. What he did last night, yesterday, in the middle of all that chaos of all that paperwork.
He had time to work on wood?
He did. He stayed late to do this, but then he came down about 6 years saying, Dave, I don't have time to get this one ready for tomorrow morning. I'm like, I know. Yesterday was just whatever. It was wild. A day to remember. Yeah. Day to remember. So if the bonding works well today, what's today? What day of the week is it today? Thursday. If the bonding works well today and tomorrow, I will have a new key block on my desk Saturday morning, and I will be back to the same starting corner all over again of this cat block, working through with a real nice tight piece of wood. If it doesn't go well, I won't be, and I'll be doing something else.
Yep.
To be announced. No idea.
Couple of quick questions before we wrap up. Someone said, what was the type put on before creping? That was all carved, wasn't it? All the type?
No. This is the standard Hasegawa. This is this is metal type.
Oh, these ones are metal type.
This is metal type. This is most of the Chinimen books, the fairy tale books, they were done with woodblock printed sheets and metal type for the actual body type. And then they were craved. Let me just confirm that with my scoping just to make sure I do know what I'm talking about. Yes, it's metal type. The example that we showed in that video a few months back, the Sword and Blossoms book, was an outlier. The entire book was carved and printed. This is not. This is metal type. These areas, of course, are designed and drawn. The cover was designed and drawn. All the special lettering is carved. But the standard bodies of these things, these Chirimen books, are done in metal type. Sorry, I didn't need to mention that. Yes, I needed to mention that. So.
Someone also asked, on the cover of the book, it says, by Mrs. W.H. Smith. Any idea who this person is?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. This is documented. There's a book published some years back by Frederick Scharf. He was working with the Peabody Museum, which is somewhere in America, and they had an exhibition of these things going on. They have a big collection of them there. And he spent years documenting all the background stuff to Hasegawa, who the collaborators were, who the artists were, who these different Western names were. And they were, for the most part, they were Western Christian missionaries working in Tokyo at that time. Hasegawa himself had become a Christian for a while. He eventually gave it up. Sorry, Cameron. But so these were people he knew through his church activities. Again, off the top of my head, Mrs. Smith would have been some member of a congregation there who either
had lived in Japan for a while.
So. But this is documented. I don't know. If you look up the book, it's called I forget the name of the book. I don't know. It's red.
Yeah, it's red.
I don't remember.
Didn't Smith work for Hasegawa before? Probably. I think we've seen her name before. She's done other books.
So if you're interested in Googling it, it's a book about Hasegawa's print by Frederick Scharf. Sharf. Google Hasegawa, Peabody, Frederick, and you'll come up with the book. It's kind of rare. It's out there. It's a little bit expensive. But it has all the documentation that was known at the time. behind these City Main Law books.
Cool.
And most of the stuff I know about these things comes from the research work that he did on those things. So,
All right.
so we know about the technical things about how they're made,
Mm-hmm.
and Sharf knows about the publishing world.
The people involved in
Yeah,
making
all
it.
around it. All around it. So.
Cool. All right.
Cleared the questions?
Okay.
Let's get
Yeah,
out
I
of here.
think so.
I have a ton of work waiting, and
Okay.
you have another ton of work waiting. We're having
Yep.
a ton of fun here, you know. Things are going really well.
Yeah. We will see you next time.
I'll see you Saturday with hopefully some carving on the bench. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.